how to build a winner's mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every soul's journey where the difference between standing still and soaring high isn't talent, opportunity, or even hard work, it is mindset. It's the unseen power behind every rising phoenix, every undefeated warrior, every unshaken soul walking through storms with a fire in their eyes. The truth is, life will challenge you, life will break you, and life will test you, but your mindset will define whether those wounds become scars or wings. The moment you start thinking like a winner, you've already won half the battle because what you believe you become. And this mindset doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It is built, forged, earned. Today, we're not here to speak about success. We're here to speak about the soil that gives birth to it. We're here to learn the language of resilience, the tone of triumph, the attitude of unshakable faith. We're here to build the winner's mindset, all one. Embrace failures as fuel, not fears. There's something about falling that makes you realize the strength of your spine. There's a certain poetry in collapsing, not because it breaks you, but because it strips away every illusion you held about safety, perfection, and control. The truth is, failure is not the opposite of winning. It is the path that sculpts a winner. And if you fear it, you fear the very hand that molds you. The world may teach you to hide your bruises, to cover up your collapses, but if only you could see how beautiful you look when you rise after being shattered, you would never be ashamed again. The real challenge isn't in losing, it's in facing the mirror when you've lost everything you once thought defined you. It's in daring to say, I will try again, when everything inside you says you can't. That's where a winner's mindset is born. Not on podiums, not under spotlights, but in the quiet dark where no one's watching and your heartbeat is the only applause. And in that moment when you choose to learn instead of retreat, something inside you shifts. Failure becomes a bridge instead of a wall. People will define you by your wins, but you will define yourself by your wounds. When you stop seeing failure as humiliation and begin seeing it as initiation, you evolve. The pain that once embarrassed you becomes the power that carries you. There's a strength in the eyes of someone who has fallen more times than they can count, yet still walks forward as if they've never known defeat. That's not ignorance, it's defiance of fear and reverence for growth. A winner's mindset doesn't glorify perfection, it celebrates persistence. Every fall gives you two gifts, a bruise and a lesson. The bruise fades. The lesson shapes your identity. But the question is, are you willing to stay with the pain long enough to receive the gift? Are you willing to stay on the ground for a moment, not to sulk, but to study the cracks where you stumbled? Because those cracks will be the same places where your roots will grow deeper. When you begin to see every failure not as a punishment, but as preparation, you stop shrinking at the sight of storms. You begin to meet challenges with a nod instead of a flinch. You learn that sometimes the universe doesn't say no, it simply says, not this way. And when one door slams, it's not rejection, it's redirection. Every time you fall, you either gather self-pity or self-knowledge, and the choice you make becomes the road you walk. You don't need to win to feel worthy. You need to grow to feel alive. And growth never happens in the echo chambers of easy days. It happens when you're standing knee-deep in the rubble of your own expectations, staring at the ruins and whispering, even this can be rebuilt. That is where the flame is lit. The kind of flame that cannot be blown out by failure, because it was born inside of it. That is how a winner is born, not in applause, but in ashes. And every time life knocks you down, it's not trying to bury you, it's trying to plant you. And the deeper the soil of pain, the stronger the roots of greatness grow. So let it rain, let it storm, let it break if it must, because even in your darkest hour, if you can see failure as a forge and not a finish line, you are already becoming more than a winner too. Discipline is, your daily victory winners aren't born with golden habits. They don't wake up with clarity written in their DNA. They build it moment by moment, repetition by repetition, pain by pain. Discipline isn't glamorous, it's silent, lonely, and often invisible. It's the tiny battle you fight when no one is watching. It's waking up before the excuses do. It's showing up on days you want to disappear. It's doing what's necessary, not what's comfortable. And in those small decisions, the winner within begins to breathe. The world often celebrates intensity, those grand, viral, passionate moments. But intensity fades. What stays is consistency, and that comes from discipline. The strength to do it. Again, even when your soul is tired and your heart questions your path, discipline teaches you that emotion is not your master. That motivation may knock once, but discipline builds a house and lives with you daily. It becomes your quiet companion on days when nothing feels right, but everything must be done. A winner doesn't wait for a feeling to act. They act to shape the feeling. Discipline isn't about being robotic. It's about being committed to your transformation. It's saying yes to your future, even when your present begs you to quit. It's sacrificing fleeting pleasures for enduring purpose. And when you build that rhythm, you become dangerous, not because you're loud, but because you are unstoppable in silence. The real reward of discipline isn't just the goal, it's who you become in the process. You begin to respect yourself. You begin to trust your own word. You become your own coach, your own motivator, your own witness. You no longer need validation because your actions testify to your growth. You don't just build a routine, you build a reputation with yourself. And that is a power no applause can give and no criticism can take. Discipline also teaches you self-love in its rawest form. Not the gentle kind, but the kind that pushes you, challenges you, confronts your laziness and says, you are made for more. That voice within doesn't pamper you, it trains you. It doesn't soothe your fears, it stretches your faith. And every time you obey that higher voice, you rise from who you were to who you're meant to be. There will be days when the bed is more inviting than your dreams. Days when distractions whisper louder than your purpose. But that's when you remember you are not what you feel. You are what you repeatedly do. And your power lies in routine, not in rush. Because slow growth is still growth and steady effort is still progress. That mindset doesn't just win, it endures. And while others seek shortcuts, the disciplined ones build legacies. They don't rush to arrive, they strive to evolve. And in that quiet daily decision to choose purpose over pleasure, order over chaos, and growth over comfort, they plant the seeds of victory in every hour of their lives. 3, visualize the victory before you see it. Before anything exists in the physical world, it must first be born in the mind. The winner's mindset is not shaped by external outcomes, it is sculpted by internal vision. Long before the applause, there must be imagination. Long before the breakthrough, there must be belief. The greatest victories are rehearsed silently, in the privacy of your thoughts, when no one sees but everything begins. If you cannot see yourself succeeding in your mind, you will never step into success with your feet. Visualization isn't fantasy, it's foundation. It's not daydreaming, it's direction. The mind is a canvas, and every stroke of belief, every brush of intention paints a picture of who you are becoming. And when you choose to see victory, despite being surrounded by defeat, you plant a seed that reality cannot ignore. What you hold in your vision, your life begins to build around. That's not magic, it's mindset. Even when the world offers you every reason to doubt, your vision becomes the compass that keeps you from drifting. It doesn't matter how loud the chaos gets if your internal clarity is louder. The winners of life don't wait to see proof before they believe. They believe until proof arrives. They hold on to that image of triumph in their mind like a lifeline through the storm. And no matter how many waves crash, that vision keeps them afloat. There is a sacred power in walking through today as if tomorrow has already bowed to your determination. When you visualize yourself overcoming, thriving, healing, building, succeeding, you breathe life into a future that is waiting for your permission to exist. And slowly, your actions begin to match your imagination. Your posture changes, your speech shifts, your decisions align. You become a walking prophecy of your own potential. The vision must become so vivid that it outshines every current reality. You must see yourself strong when you feel weakest, See yourself rising when everything seems to pull you down. See yourself winning when all evidence says otherwise. Because the brain doesn't distinguish between imagined success and real success, it only follows what is repeated. And repetition of the right vision becomes the map for your transformation. But the vision must be personal. It must burn inside you, not because someone else handed it to you, but because your soul chose it. It must be rooted in your why, so deep that even when results are absent, your reason keeps you going. When you see your future with such intensity, the distractions of the present lose their power. You begin to say no to lesser things because your mind is already walking in the greater reality that is coming. And slowly, your vision becomes a habit, a lifestyle, a sanctuary. You no longer just dream, you direct. You don't just wish, you will. And even when others laugh, doubt, or dismiss you, you quietly smile, not because you need their approval, but because you've already seen the outcome, and it is beautiful beyond words. 4. Speak power. Even when you feel powerless, your voice is not just sound, it is signal. It is a vibration that echoes your identity. And in the darkest moments, when life tries to mute your confidence, the words you speak can either become your cage or your key. Winners do not wait to feel powerful to speak powerfully. They understand that the spoken word has the power to bend perspectives, shift energies, and awaken courage. Even when your knees are shaking, your voice can still declare strength, and in doing so, you begin to create it. There is something sacred about speaking life over yourself. When everything around you suggests death, death of hope, death of dreams, death of strength, in that moment your tongue becomes your sword. And every word of faith, every sentence of resilience is an act of rebellion against the fear that tries to silence you. It's not about pretending everything is okay. It's about proclaiming that you will not be destroyed by what isn't. You don't need the world to believe in you if you can learn to speak belief into your own bones. Your affirmations are not just feel-good phrases. They are declarations to the universe of who you are becoming. And even if your heart doubts, let your mouth speak victory until your heart begins to catch up. Speak progress. Speak healing. Speak growth. Not because you're naive, but because you're brave enough to plant seeds with your speech, even in barren soil. In the moments of weakness, the way you speak about yourself matters more than ever. If your words are soaked in shame, defeat, or helplessness, they dig graves for your potential. But if they are drenched in hope, determination, and gratitude, they breathe oxygen into your spirit. You may feel tired, broken, or even lost, but still let your voice rise. Let it become the bridge between your pain and your promise. There's a reason the first sign of change in any human is how they begin to talk. Before habits shift, before environments evolve, their language transforms. It begins subtly. They stop saying, I can't, and start saying, I'm trying. They stop saying, I'm stuck, and begin to say, I'm learning. That shift is not small, it is seismic. Because where the mind follows, the body moves, and where the voice leads, the mind awakens. Even when you feel like no one is listening, speak anyway. Because the most important ears that hear you are your own. The voice you hear the most in your life is yours, so make it a voice that lifts you, not limits you. Be the speaker that your younger self needed. Be the voice that your future self will thank. Use words not just to describe your situation, but to transform it. Speak like your words are painting your future, because they are. And with every powerful word you choose, you give yourself permission to rise, permission to hope again, to try again, to breathe deeper. You're not just speaking for today, you're speaking yourself into the next chapter of your story. One word of power at a time. 5. Surround yourself with warriors, not wanderers. Who walks beside you will often determine how far you go. The people you allow into your inner circle are not just companions, they are climate makers. They either pour fuel on your fire or water on your flame. A winner's mindset is not just built in solitude, it is reinforced in community. And not all company is good company. Some conversations elevate you, others erode you. Some people stretch you, others shrink you. Choose wisely. You don't need an army of supporters, you need a handful of warriors. People who won't let you settle for average. People who see through your excuses, who challenge your comfort zones, who remind you of your power when you forget it. These are not critics, they are catalysts. Their energy pushes you. Their presence sharpens you. Their belief resurrects you on days when your own belief is buried beneath fatigue. You must learn to recognize the difference between wanderers and warriors. Wanderers drift without purpose, complain without action, and often disguise their passivity as peace. They avoid challenges and resent your growth because it reminds them of their stagnation. Warriors, on the other hand, walk through fire with you. They don't need to always agree with you. They only need to believe in your journey enough to challenge you forward. It's okay to outgrow people. Not everyone is meant to walk with you through every chapter. Some were part of your survival story, but not your success story. And that's not betrayal, it's evolution. A winner's mindset isn't arrogant, but it is selective. It knows that protecting your energy sometimes means creating distance. You're not judging, you're guarding the soil of your future. Build a circle where speaking dreams is normal, where ambition isn't mocked, where healing is celebrated, and where failure is not the end, but an invitation to rise. These are the rooms where winners are molded. In such company, your courage multiplies, your doubts decrease, and your vision becomes clearer. You start to realize that you were never weak, you were just surrounded by voices that echoed your fears instead of your faith. And when you find those people, hold on to them, honor them, water their dreams as they water yours. Celebrate their wins without comparison. Heal with them, grow with them, and rise together. Because a true winner never climbs alone, they lift others as they rise. The mindset of a champion includes the heart of a builder, and builders create tribes that thrive. The winner's journey may begin alone, but it doesn't have to stay lonely. Let your environment become your encouragement. Let your circle reflect your next level. Because when the people around you believe in your greatness, even on your worst days, you begin to wear your purpose like armor and walk into the world undefeated. In the end, a winner's mindset is not something we inherit, it is something we ignite within ourselves. It is forged in the quiet moments when no one claps, in the painful decisions to keep showing up, in the silent whispers of "I can" when the world screams "you can't." It is built when we learn to fall with grace, to speak life into our own weary hearts, to surround ourselves with those who lift us even when life tries to bury us. This mindset isn't defined by trophies or titles, it is defined by truth, the truth you choose to believe about yourself even when evidence is missing. And once you build it, it becomes your compass, your armor, your fire. It becomes a part of you that no storm can steal and no failure can finish. To build a winner's mindset is to rewire your spirit from survival to strength, from fear to faith, from being at the mercy of life to becoming a force within it. It is to declare that setbacks are not your story's end, but the soil where your story begins. It is to wake up each day not asking the world to be easy, but asking yourself to be ready. This mindset does not wait for perfect conditions, it rises and reigns, even in the ruins. And the beauty of it all is that anyone can build it not through privilege, but through practice, through vision, through discipline, through courage, and through choosing every single day to think like a victor, even when life looks like a war.